I was a party princess, and I say that with pride. And I put on a pop filter today because that's a lot of P's. And we're going to talk about those days, specifically what it was like, what I learned, and what I was really, really bad at, and how it taught me an amazing life lesson. I'm Briana Hansen, and this is a spark. So I've been fortunate enough, although for some people they might think it's unfortunate, but I've been fortunate enough to get paid to play dress up pretty often. My day job for a while was as a nanny, so I was playing a lot of make believe. My income at the same time I was a nanny was working at Navy Pier in Chicago. At the time, they had a lot of these really fun costume characters and like character experiences you could do essentially for free. Basically, if you were on the pier, you could try this cool experience where you just walk around and take pictures with these grown humans who are playing dress up. So I got to be a queen in that. I got to be like one of Santa's elves. And I wasn't just like a person you took a picture with. Okay. We had backstories, we had powers, we had, dances we would do periodically. It was a really cool, immersive experience. And honestly, it whet my palate for having more immersive experiences, kind of creating memories that aren't just for the picture, but are actually for the integration of how it feels in your body and the positive experience that comes from it. One of my favorite things I will say about um, dressing up specifically on the pier was I got to be a queen one year, and that queen was like an ice queen, and I would walk around. And people would just expect a picture, which is fine. And of course, we did it because we got all decked out, big wigs and all that stuff. But sometimes I'd make people play along with me because I had powers. My character had powers. And so I would make these like grown people, grown adults, male, female, anyone. I'd point a wand at them and would like give a command. And most of the time, they did it. It was so delightful. Anyway, that was in Chicago. So when I moved to Los Angeles, I, obviously wanted to continue this important line of work and looked into options for doing immersive character experiences. There are a few of them, including one of the most famous up at Universal Studios. I guess the most famous is Disney, but that's like its own monster. That's committing to character work, and I was not willing to go that level of commitment. So I did check out Universal Studios, really cool group. I knew a lot of people who had done that and enjoyed it. It was not for me, mostly just location wise of where I lived. Well, near where I lived, there was the opportunity to do party princess work. And I was like, oh my God, this combines so many things I'm good at. It combines hanging out with people, it combines getting decked out, taking on a character, it combines being around children. Like, this is going to be great. So I signed up for this like mom and pop shop. It was just these two girls who were still in college who had this business. And here I am, a, 20, God, 25, 26-year-old woman being like, sure, I'll work for you for like minimum wage. It wasn't terrible pay, but like by the time you factored in all of the things, it was not great, which wasn't their fault. Their overhead wasn't high, but like you don't charge that much for a party princess, okay? Now, these were not on brand princesses. These were off brand princesses. So I was not like signing up to be, Aurora, although I could have because I'm sleepy. But I was signing up to be like, I forget the name, but it was like Princess Penelope, you know, like off brand princesses. And the people know what they're getting. So it's not like they're expecting a Disney princess, which you absolutely could not touch or even get close to. I mean, you couldn't even be like, I'm just a mermaid with red hair. Cause like, I mean, you probably could, but Disney's litigious. So why would you risk it? So I'm these off brand princesses. And what's even better is on their website, it was pictures of these two women who had created this business, which I love and admire that they did this at such a young age, but it was just pictures of them. So I was actually the substitute for an off-brand princess. I just looked enough like one of the girls that I would take on her characters. We didn't do a lot of character work. It was basically like, oh, this is this girl and this is her thing. And then you're going to dress up in this particular dress, which you fit. And then you're going to drive to the deep valley in a giant dress all decked out in your own car, in your small Toyota car and you're going to go up there and you're going to get out of the car and you're going to walk in this ridiculous dress up to the party. You're going to entertain the kids for essentially 2 hours and then you're going to come back. And I was like, count me in. So I did it like twice. The first one was okay. I wasn't there all that long and the kids were pretty chill. But the second one, and as a parent now, I have a different perspective on this, but the second one was much more challenging because all the kids wanted to do, and this happened a little at the first, but the second one, it was like one wanted it and then they all glommed on, was like grab my hair, pull my dress, ask why I'm not an on-brand princess. Like, I thought you were going to be Cinderella. What's this? Who are you? What's your thing? And then the parents just disappeared. I was essentially the babysitter for this time. And we read like a book or two, but I couldn't actually discipline the kids in any way, shape, or form because I was a kind princess, right? So these kids would be like pulling on my dress or pulling on my hair or screaming at me. And I try to read a story and they're not like paying attention. They're like grabbing stuff and breaking things. But the parents are like, she's in charge. She's got this. And they're just, drinking in the yard. And so it was really challenging. And after that, I was like, I don't like this. I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. This is certainly not worth it. And I think the kicker was the fact that I was like out of gas. So I had to stop and get gas in a giant pink princess outfit and was just like honking and waving. I actually felt more regal doing that than I did during the birthday party. It was challenging. And as a parent now, I sort of get it. Like I get that, you hired this person for off brand person. They're in charge now. But even I am much more active. Like we actually hired the Moana, wink, wink, to come to my daughter's birthday party. And I was like with her the whole time. I would never have just left Moana to her druthers, with all these children around. But that's what happened. So it just wasn't really for me. But I did do a couple more gigs. And one of the gigs involved face painting. Now, they didn't tell me when I was hired, because I would have been honest, that that face painting was a thing that you could get hired for. So I'm like, sure, I guess I can face paint. Or maybe I showed up and they told me I'd be face painting and I was like, oh, it's not okay. And it wasn't like I was princess and sometimes face painting. It was like, I'm just sitting here in this dress as a face painter. And I'm very creative. I love writing. I am not artistically inclined. I'll doodle all day, love a good doodle, but I am not like someone who can draw. So here I am face painting these children. And they gave me like a quick tutorial on some easy-ish things to do. But kids would come up and be like, I want a dragon. And they'd point to the book where there's a dragon. I'm like, I have no idea. Like I guess I can kind of do the thing that they told me. And like, I tried. So I would create these I felt so bad for these kids. They'd create these really bad dragons. But here's what I learned, what I was good at. And I knew this. I was like, I'm not going to create a good dragon. I will create an excellent story around this. So I would create essentially like a green blob with a tiny red little dot. And that was the dragon. I was like, your dragon is coming out of the swamp. You can only see it from the murky reflection below, but soon it will emerge from your face and be the most powerful dragon. Whatever it was. However terrible the essential colored blob looked, I had a good story around it. So I did that like once or twice. And then I was like, I think we're good. And I don't know who stopped calling who, but it wasn't long after those few experiences that I was no longer party princessing. And I was deciding perhaps there are more grown up or more appropriate for this phase of life jobs that I can seek out. I think I became a dog walker next. So it's not like I did a major upgrade, but that's neither here nor there. That's because of a lot of stuff I had to work through. Anyway, I learned that if you create a story around something, it doesn't actually matter what the thing is because we are all going for the like emotional experience, right? Of course, a kid wants to have a cool dinosaur on their face. Of course, a kid wants to be painted up like they look like a tiger. I get that. And as a parent now, I have paid a lot of money for people to paint my kid's face. And she'll immediately like wipe it off accidentally, or they'll sweat and it'll be gone. It's actually the story behind it. It's the feeling that you're eliciting. And the other day, my son was was drawing, and he's young, so he doesn't have great, visual motor skills so far. And also, like, I'm not sure maybe he'll surprise us all, but he seems to take after mom in that he literally just drew like a couple lines and then was like, this is the story. This is the fairy, and the fairy becomes this big frog because the wizard comes along, and he's just pointing to like real dull lines. And I was like, yeah, man, you tell your story. I love it. So remember, it's always about the story. It's not always about the end product, because the story is what elicits that emotional response. And it's the thing that people actually remember. Even when we keep things, I feel like we keep them because we remember the feeling we got from the story involved in the physical item in front of us. But yeah, I don't know if I would suggest party princessing to most people, but hey, it was a fun phase of life. All right, have a good one.